In the heart of Middle East, a revolution would unfold that would change the course of history. This is the story of the Iranian Revolution, a turbulent journey that shook the world and brought Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini to power. Our journey begins with the rise of the Shah of Iran, Muhammad Reza Pahlavi. In the 1940s, Muhammad Reza Pahlavi ascended to the peacock throne, becoming the Shah of Iran. His reign was marked by modernization efforts, but also authoritarian rule, backed by United States and the West. The Shah's pursuit of absolute power sowed the seeds of discontent among the Iranian people. Reza Shah Pahlavi, also known as Raja Shah, played a pivotal role in modern Iranian history. He ascended to the throne and founded the Pehlavi Dynasty, which would rule Iran until the Iranian Revolution in 1979. Reza Shah's claim to the throne was not through a traditional royal lineage, but was based on his military prowess and political acumen. Here's a brief history of how he came into power and who was removed to pave the way for his rule. His early life and military career. Reza Shah was born in 1878 in a small village of Mazandaran in Iran. He began his military career in the Persian Cossack Brigade, which was trained and commanded by Russian officers. Over time, he rose through the ranks due to his competence and leadership skills. In 1921, Reza Shah led a coup against the ruling Qajar dynasty, then led by Ahmad Shah Qajar. The Qajar dynasty has been in decline for years, plagued by corruption, foreign influence, and internal strife. Reza Shah capitalized on public discontent and backing of certain political and military fractions to seize power. After a successful coup, Reza Shah established the Pehlavi dynasty, naming himself as Reza Shah Pahlavi. He initiated a series of reforms aimed at modernizing Iran and consolidating his power. His reign saw significant changes in various aspects of Iranian society, including infrastructure, education, and the military. Reza Shah's centralized power and reduced the influence of traditional elites, including the clergy and tribal leaders. He aimed to modernize Iran by introducing Western-style institutions and practices, often at the expense of traditional Iranian values and customs. After Reza Shah's rise to power, Ahmad Shah Qajar was pressured to abdicate the throne in favor of his son. He subsequently went to exile in Europe, making the end of Qajar dynasty rule in Iran. Reza Shah's rule was characterized by authoritarianism, and he sought to assert Iran's independence from foreign interference, particularly from British and Russian influence. While his reign brought about significant modernization and infrastructural development, it also faced criticism for his heavy-handed approach and the suppression of political dissidents. This laid the groundwork for the challenges and changes that would come with his son Reza Shah Pahlavi, who would rule until the Iranian Revolution in 1979. In the shadows of Iranian discontent, Ayatollah Khomeini emerged as a formidable figure. Ayatollah Khomeini was forced into exile due to his opposition to autocratic rule of Shah of Iran, Muhammad Reza Pahlavi. Khomeini was a prominent Shia cleric and a charismatic figure whose fiery sermons and religious authority posed a significant challenge to the Shah's regime. His relentless criticism of Shah's policies, particularly the secularization of Iran and the suppression of religious freedoms, led to his banishment from the country in 1964. Exiled initially to Turkey and then to Iraq, and ultimately finding a safe haven in France, Khomeini continued to agitate against the Shah's rule from abroad, rallying support and disseminating his revolutionary message through various means, including cassette tapes and clandestine networks, which played a critical role in the eventual success of the Iranian Revolution in 1979. The Iranian Revolution was driven by a complex web of factors: political oppression, economic inequality, Western influence, and the suppression of religious freedoms. It was a revolution in the making, waiting for its moment to ignite. Khomeini played a pivotal role in mobilizing the Iranian masses. From his exile in France, he rallied supporters through cassette tapes and clandestine networks, fueling the growing opposition movement. Iranian Revolution ignited in 1978 with massive protests against Shah's regime. Millions of Iranians from all the walks of life took to the streets, demanding political change and an end to the monarchy. The Iranian Revolution of 1979 was a complex and multifaceted event, driven by a combination of political, social, economic, and religious factors. Here are some of the key reasons behind the Iranian Revolution. Authoritarian rule of Shah. Muhammad Reza Pahlavi's rule was characterized by authority and a lack of political freedoms. His regime was backed by the United States and the West, which led to widespread resentment among the Iranian population, who saw him as a puppet of foreign powers. Economic inequality. Despite the economic development and modernization efforts of Shah's regime, economic inequality was rampant in Iran. The benefits of economic growth were not distributed equally, and a significant portion of the population continued to live in poverty. The Shah's regime employed brutal methods to suppress political dissidents. Opposition parties were banned and political activists were often imprisoned, tortured, or killed. This repression fueled anger and resistance among various segments of society. Cultural changes. The Shah's regime implemented policies aimed at modernizing Iran, including the promotion of secularism and westernization. These changes clashed with traditional Iranian values and religious beliefs, particularly within the conservative segments of society. Religious opposition. Ayatollah Khomeini, a Shia cleric who had been exiled by the Shah, emerged as a prominent religious leader and critic of the regime. His calls for an Islamic government resonated with a significant portion of the population, especially in the religiously conservative provinces. Western influence. Many Iranians perceived the United States as supporting the Shah's regime, leading to anti-American sentiments. In 1953, CIA-led coup that removed Iran's democratically elected Prime Minister Mohammad Mossadegh and reinstated the Shah further fueled this perception. Rural-urban divide. The urban areas of Iran, particularly Tehran, witnessed rapid modernization, while rural areas lagged behind in terms of development and access to resources. This rural-urban divide contributed to social unrest and dissatisfaction with the government. Youth unrest. Iran had a large young population in the late 1970s, and many young Iranians were frustrated by the lack of political participation and job opportunities. They played a significant role in the protests and demonstrations that marked the revolution. A global context. The global context, including the success of other anti-colonial and anti-imperialist movements, inspired and influenced the Iranian revolutionaries. Additionally, the Iranian Revolution had regional implications affecting the geopolitics of the Middle East. The Iranian Revolution was a culmination of these interconnected factors. It led to the overthrow of Pehlavi monarchy and the establishment of the Islamic Republic under the leadership of Ayatollah Khomeini. The revolution had far-reaching consequences, both domestically and internationally, shaping Iran's politics and foreign relations for decades to come. As the revolution gained momentum, the Shah's army faced an increasingly hostile population. Violent clashes rocked Iran, leaving a trail of casualties and chaos in the wake. In January 1979, the Shah left Iran, seeking refuge in various countries. When Muhammad Reza Pahlavi departed Iran in January 1979, amidst the fervor of Iranian Revolution, he left behind a remarkable treasure trove of royal jewels and priceless historical artifacts. The decision to leave these treasures behind was not entirely his own, but rather a result of tumultuous circumstances surrounding his hasty departure. As the revolution gathered momentum and the situation grew increasingly precarious, the Shah and his family were faced with a difficult choice: take their invaluable possession with them and risk being perceived as looters, or leave them behind as a symbolic gesture of respect for the Iranian people. Ultimately, they chose the latter, opting to prioritize their own safety in the hope of a potential return over the preservation of their royal treasures. The abandoned jewels were later served as pagan symbols of the end of the Pehlavi dynasty and the beginning of a new chapter in Iran's history. The Shah found refuge in Egypt, Mexico, and the United States. However, his presence in the latter sparked outrage among Iranians who believed that US was propping up the oppressive regime. In November 1979, Iranian militants seized the US embassy in Tehran, holding 52 American diplomats hostage for 444 days. This crisis strained US-Iran relations and deeply affected global geopolitics. In February 1979, Khomeini returned triumphantly to Iran. He swiftly established an Islamic Republic, ushering in sweeping changes, including the purging of Shah's loyalists and the establishment of Islamic law. Ayatollah Khomeini's rule lasted until his death in 1989, a period marked by theocratic governance and a tumultuous relationship with the West. His legacy endures, shaping Iran's politics and society to this day. The Iran's revolution remains a vivid chapter in modern history, an epic tale of upheaval, hope, and transformation.
It was a revolution that altered the destiny of a nation and left an indelible mark on the world stage. Thank you for watching this content. Please do like, subscribe, please leave comments. Thank you.